Welcome. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Works for April 22nd, 2020. We'll begin with the pledge. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have the roll call, please?
Ted Baker,
Present.
Jerry Wise, Linda Gregory.
Present. Okay, we have two sets of minutes to deal with, and I'd like to do them separately, please. So, Ted, could I have a motion for acceptance for the April 1st minutes?
Sure, I'd make a motion for it's April 8th minutes.
No, April 1st. We have two sets.
April 8th and 15th.
Yeah.
Okay, April 8th then.
Yeah, April 8th. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. I make a motion to accept the April 8th minutes.
I second it.
Okay, I have some corrections that need to be made. Since Jerry joined that meeting after we had started, which is noted farther in the text, the motions and the approvals need to be changed for the claims acceptance to Ted making the motions and I made the seconds. Doesn't make any sense if Jerry wasn't there that he was making motions and seconds. Other than that, I had no changes or corrections in that.
Okay.
In those minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Ted, do you or Jerry have anything to add or?
Nope, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, for the April 15th minute.
Also make a motion to accept the April 15th minutes.
Second it.
Any questions or comments?
No.
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to claims. Trent, what do you have for us today?
Good morning. There are a few things that I want to bring to your attention. At the bottom of page 7 and the top of page 8, there are some EMS department expenses. They were put to the fire department within the Center Township Fund. This was an issue where the employee entering them didn't have the security to put them to the EMS department. But I'm working with them to figure out where those need to go. So we'll transfer those down to the EMS department and get them into the right accounts. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of those.
So, excuse me, so we'll be approving them where they are today, and then do we need to come along and make an adjustment later, or how do we want to handle that?
Yeah, it'll be an adjustment later.
Okay.
Yep. And there'll be more than that because there's going to be the expenses prior to when the EMS budget was approved. So we had paid some EMS expenses out of that Center Township Fund fire department as well. So
Okay.
So it'll be a longer list, but that has been corrected, and they have access to put expenses in the right department moving forward.
Could I make a suggestion that those adjustments somehow be done on a separate claims register or something so that we have those isolated and easily identified in the future?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we could do them in a regular meeting or whatever, but I want them on a separate document if we could.
Yep, no problem. Another item I wanted to bring to your attention is on the top of page 9. Within the Parks Department under chemicals, Buddenbaum and more. These are 2019 expenses. This was for closing Tui Pool in 2019. We had called them this spring to potentially have some work done out there, and they told us that we had outstanding invoices, so we didn't find that out until we called them this spring. They gave us the invoices, and we're getting them paid now. So that's why those 2019 expenses are on here.
And these just weren't anywhere to be found? They weren't in the system or anything?
Nope.
Interesting.
No, I think that there were some statements that had been sent, but just weren't followed up on. So,
So this is a 19 expense paid in 20?
yes.
Do we have an accounts payable?
We do. The way that it's set up is individual departments enter their own invoices. So we're working through that whole process, invoices to flow through the controller's office, but that's going to require a lot of security changes in the system, and we got to figure out those processes. And obviously, the COVID thing isn't helping any of this out either. Getting these things moving along.
I think we just have to accept and realize that for a period of time, we are still going to be mopping up from the prior administration. And we'll do the best we can, and we know you're doing the best you can given the circumstances.
Hey, Brian, is there, are we keeping track of how much that we're paying in 19, or is it important, Linda, that we note how much we pay in 2000 for 19?
I don't know that it's probably happened every year and change of every administration, but it is what it is. I mean, if, you know, at some point we could come back and total how much of that we're discovering, but I'm not sure.
I'm thinking it would be
I don't
good
know that we have to.
for the public standpoint to know what we paid in 19. Past bill.
I looked up just out of the general fund. The hard part is that there's, like Linda said, there's always going to be invoices that are from a prior year. For instance, we have several invoices that have an invoice date of December 31st. Obviously, we're not going to get the invoice that same day that they printed it. So it's going to get to us in the next year. I think what I looked at, it was about $200,000 just out of the general fund that we had paid for 2019 expenses. Now, some of that is, I mean, it's going to be ongoing. You know, next year we'll have a little bit of this as well, but hopefully we can contain that in January and we're not going out through February to May still paying 2019 expenses.
Well, and then your receivables will show what you have, or payables, I mean.
Right, but yeah.
I think the important thing is that any of these undiscovered, or whatever word we want to use, invoices need to be completely scrutinized and make sure that they were for services that were actually delivered or products that were delivered, so that they're all above board.
I
And if
agree.
it's a timing thing, I mean, some of these, granted, we're talking about small businesses. You know, they may now, just because of the cash flow situations, they may be going back and looking at their own receivables and discovering things that the city neglected to pay. So we'll, as I said, we'll just do the best we can with what we have and do our due diligence, making sure that these are valid invoices. Ted, do you have any other comments about any of the claims on today's list?
Linda, I do not. I've reviewed these pretty in depth, and the major ones that I was thinking about have been taken care of. So I don't have any further comments.
Jerry, do you have any further comments?
I've got one, and I'm probably rehashing, but under the page 11, the Board of Works, there's a $64,300 bill.
Yep. So that is several invoices that were paid for us refunding the park bond. So last year, the park board and the city council approved to have that bond refunded as long as they could show that it would save the city at least $100,000 over the remaining life of the bond. Last year, they weren't able to do that just due to circumstances. Beginning of this year, they came back and said, hey, we're finally there. We can show $100,000 in savings, and the mayor and I decided to move forward with it. So
Okay.
it's been completely closed out, and we get a portion of those bond proceeds to pay for cost of issuance, and that's what we're doing here, is using those proceeds to pay the third parties that helped us refund that bond.
Gotcha.
Okay, anything else, Jerry?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, my questions, and they're not really questions, they're just, well, they are questions. I noticed in several accounts that we had charges and invoices from Beasley Gilkinson. Normally those would come under another account. Can you give us some background on why those are spread across several departments and what they're for?
So Beasley Gilkinson gets their $100,000 allotment, and that's just for general legal counsel for the city. Anything that goes to litigation that they help us with gets billed separately. So if it's directly related to a specific department, we put it in that department.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think Board of Works gets the rest of them just for general litigation for the city.
Okay.
So
And
Beasley
those-
Gilkinson gets 100,000 a year.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what's budgeted and appropriated, Jerry.
Okay.
Most of these other charges then are going into account line items for other services and charges, correct?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes, correct.
that answers my questions, I think, on this round of claims.
This is probably stupid, but what is the total city budget for a year? Or I
Well,
asked the previous administration.
The general fund budget is about 25 million, which is
Okay.
majority of expenses are.
And roughly 3/4 of that is salary,
Right.
which we aren't dealing with. Okay. Could I have a motion for approval of the register of claims?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving right along, on old business, we have the endpoint services contract. Are we ready to deal with it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sarah's, and it'll be there soon.
All right, how about the item from CDBG?
Nope, they're still
Nope.
working on trying to get that.
Okay, new items. There's one for a change order for the wheeling project. Brian, I assume that's yours?
Yep, everything on there should be mine. So this is based on, there was a design assumption of a 4% cement content in the subgrade for wheeling. After geotech and some construction inspection was kind of testing was done, NDOT came back and said it needed to be 5%. So there's a cost associated with that. So this is essentially changing the unit price for the bid item that was included in the contract. The change order is $23,000 or $23,073.12. That changes in addition to the prior change order, which was for the monument removal. That modifies the original contract, which was $4.249 million, to a new contract amount of $4.295 million. So
The wheeling is 4.295.
yep. So that is roughly a $46,000 cumulative change that represents just over 1% of the original value. At this point in time, it's really to provide a change to the unit price of the contract. On a contract of this scale and this large, we wouldn't actually expect the dollars. I mean, at the end of the day, as the project moves forward, we'll see savings and things like that as we move forward. So this is really just to establish the new unit price for that type of work.
Any other questions for Brian?
In general, then the wheeling project is about 4.3 million.
Yes.
Well, there's an attachment A. Is that other properties, other streets that have East Washington and East Willard and East McKinley?
That's a different item.
Okay.
Yeah, that change order doesn't have any attachments except for an email correspondence from me. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for
No.
Brian? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept this change order.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right.
Next, Go ahead.
Yep, sorry. Items 2 and 3 are actually, they're really one item. What that is the city had applied for a community crossings grant with NDOT in February. We received notice of that award maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. This is the formal contract between NDOT and the city of Muncie saying that we will do our portion and that they will do their portion. They are providing $703,598.80, which represents 50% of the estimated construction budget.
Excellent.
Any other questions? So we're dealing with both the both items here?
Yeah, really, it's just a contract, and then there's a letter notifying us, and that we will provide back to NDOT that the mayor will sign, saying yes, the city is aware of our obligation and will follow through with it as described.
Okay. Could I have a motion?
Yeah, Brian, am I correct too that the most the city will give an entity is what, $1 million? Is that right? Or
Right.
what state will give?
Yes. So we applied for 700,000 roughly based on projects that we had. And a little background on that is being funded through the community development monies due to the available funds from the street department. We're kind of relying on community development to help with this portion. We are planning on submitting on round 2. So there's 2 rounds for community crossings each year. We will be submitting on the second phase, which will be using that additional kind of 300,000 that we've left on the table. And that will be for future projects that'll get funded through the street department.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep.
I noticed all the other communities
Yeah.
that they're awarded in, and we seem to pretty much in line. So
Yep.
I make a motion to accept this.
I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next.
So this is a contract between the city and J. Crew Landscape Incorporated. If you have questions on this, I'm happy to kind of go into the details, but essentially we're asking them to help store excess salt that we have as a street department, and the responsibilities of us, the responsibilities that they're providing, and then how payment will be provided. The nuts and bolts of it is we're asking them to store 750 tons of salt for us from when we receive it sometime in the next few months through when we need it coming this winter. And we would pay them a 10% amount of what they store. So essentially we would be paying them in salt for 75 tons.
Is this a new contract / relationship with J. Crew, or is this ongoing?
This is a brand new thing. So the way the salt contract works with the state, we essentially bid with the rest of the state. So we have to give them a number of what we expect to use, and you can go plus or minus 20% of that number. And this year we are 750 tons shy of the lower 20% of what we wanted to use. So we kind of have to take ownership of 750 tons no matter what. We have exhausted and filled up all of our stores already. So we can either pay NDOT to store the 750 tons, or in this case, we found a local partner. The cost going through NDOT is $15 per ton per month. So it ends up being roughly $52,000 that we would be paying NDOT to store our salt. In this case, we're really just paying J. Crew salt that we've already paid for. So I think it's a pretty good savings for us and a good situation for the street department.
How much will we pay J. Crew?
We're paying them 75 tons of salt. So the value of that is, I mean, it's something that we're already purchasing, but the value of 75 tons is roughly 9,000.
But if the state is 45,000?
Yeah, it's over 50,000 is what we would end up paying the
Why
state
are
if
we
we asked them.
paying a premium? Why are we paying a premium?
So if we don't use all of our salt, we have to pay the state to store our excess salt.
How much do we pay the state?
We would pay them $15 per month per ton.
So 15 times.
So that's the 52,000.
Yeah.
And we're paying J. Crew how much?
We're paying them 75 tons of salt, so roughly 9,000.
Oh, that's a great deal.
Yeah. So we're saving like $40,000 to $50,000. Absolutely.
And would we use that salt first rather than at the end, or what's the plan there, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. Presumably we would try and use that first so that they can get access to their stores, and yeah.
I hope we don't have to use it at all. That's
Yeah.
my plan.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this?
No, that's well done. Who came up with this strategy?
Donnie, Bill, and I. So the street department folks and I, we figured it out and hashed it out, and
Okay.
Yep.
Well, and I know J. Crew has been a good partner with the city, and
Yep.
they are a good community partner too. So I have no complaints with this. I'd make a motion to make sure we accept this.
I second it.
Okay, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Anything else? Any comments anybody needs to make?
Could I just ask one quick question? And maybe this is for anybody who's watching or listening, that if somebody has a request for an agenda item, what is the proper protocol for someone with an agenda item to get it added to the agenda?
It would probably be best if they were to email myself or the city engineer at cityofmuncie.com email, and kind of working between Linda, myself, and Trent, we try and make sure any new items get put on the agenda.
Okay.
Is this true about outside dining?
Yes.
We got a question from somebody.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're being taken care of.
Yep.
And that just was part of a bigger question, was if somebody does have a question, where is it focused to? And so I think I just want to make sure the people who do have questions or agenda items are getting help. That's all. That's the main thing.
Is there a phone number that's active and at least doing voicemails in case someone forgets the email address?
So my phone number at city engineer's office, I get emails and I get voicemail and notifications if I get something, and the street department both receive those types of things. So I can give out my number real quick. It's 747-4853. If someone hits extension 9, they'll get the mayor's office, which is what you would ask for, and then you'll be directed to me if you're looking for street department, board of works, or city engineer items.
Okay. I think that takes care of it. And thank you, Ted, for adding that to the.
Hey, Brian, what is your email?
So B Hotop, HOTOPP, at city, HOTOPP,
Okay.
at City of Muncie.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
And it should be at top of the emails that we received from him too, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hearing no further business, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and see you all next week at the same time. Thank you.
Everyone. Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks.